All right. What's up, guys? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We have a great show for you guys tonight, and it's part 2 of our apprenticeship episode. And today we have 2 amazing tattooers with a lot of experience, and it's my boy G Money in the building.
G Money's in the house. What's
and
up, y'all?
Our friend Kian, who is visiting from Singapore.
What's up, guys?
So, like always, we're gonna start off just kind of introducing ourselves and telling a little bit of what we've been up to this week. So, my name is John Mesa. You guys already know. It's my homie Matt Triano.
What's up?
And first of all, I want you guys to introduce yourselves, but tell us a little bit about, where you're from, how long you've been tattooing, what kind of style of tattooing you do, and any other little bit that you would like to throw on there.
Yeah, Gabe, start off.
All right, so I go by G Money, but I also go by Gabe, and I've been tattooing about 15 years. I would say as far as styles go, I'm a little bit on the well-rounded side. I do a little bit of everything. I first started out by doing some, I would say, like what I would consider like black and gray, street shop vibes, praying hands, rosary beads, so a little bit of realism.
The timeless good stuff.
Yeah, people coming in, they want people's names, I had that kind of, as far as my first couple years tattooing professionally. So, I fell in love with many different styles, and, just to make a long story short, I would venture into different styles and knowing, just trying them out and trying to perfect them, trying to see what made them work. And I just pretty much do a little bit of everything, to be honest with you. I enjoy it.
What's your favorite style to work in?
It depends on the challenge at hand. Because I feel like if I'm struggling with a certain style, I'll love it more because it's that much more challenging at that current time.
So you'd rather be uncomfortable. You'd rather do the struggle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like it's almost like this this striving to go above the plateau.
The satisfaction when you complete something when you're struggling through it that you're uncomfortable with, it's so much greater than finishing something that you're like, yeah, I do this every day.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
If you have to work extra hard for it, it's just so much more gratifying.
Absolutely.
Especially if you nail it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if you don't nail it, but yeah, if you nail it, like,
if
yeah.
you nail it, like, yes.
Yeah.
I think, like, something that you just brought up, it was like, working at a street shop many years ago when people weren't necessarily like, I like this style, and people weren't like so like gung ho on like specific styles of tattooing. It gave you the opportunity to give them a tattoo in any style that you felt fit better for their idea. That's right. So like if somebody told you like, hey man, I want this like really weird like funky cat that's like coming out of a toaster and blah, blah, blah. You're like, shit, I should do this maybe a little new school because it kind of plays well with that. You know what I'm saying? And if you're like, nah, dude, I want that like realistic black and gray. You're like, that fucking sounds dumb, bro.
Yeah.
We're not going to do this in realistic black and gray. You have a very silly idea. It'll be way more fun, better to illustrate if we do it in a more like stylistic style. Well, I don't want it to look cartoony. Do you know how many times I would tell people like, hey dude, we're going to do this a lot more like traditional. And they're like, well, I don't want it to look like a cartoon. I'm like, it's not going to look like a cartoon, bro.
You just want it to be like readable.
Yeah.
It's just a readable tattoo.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of times people would get caught up with like realistic and saying what realistic is. And I was like, then after a while I realized that people just, if something had like a drop shadow and it had good contrast, bro, that shit looks real, bro.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. I'll take it even further. Just if it had any kind of shading at all.
Yeah.
I want one of those 3D tats.
Yeah, the 3D tats. That was a fucking thing, bro. I want them 3D tats.
3D tats. Yo, I want the guy in here that does 3D tats. Where's he at?
So usually we start the show and we already kind of gotten it going, but like this week, what have you guys been up to? Let's share a little bit of, Kian's visiting. So what have you been working on? so far since you've been in the States?
So far, compared to the last time, this time I'm getting like big pieces, like ornamental stuff.
Talk into the mic.
Bring the mic
like,
a little bit.
Ornamental stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like grapevines. They want to incorporate it with some ornamental stuff, and like the things I did today. Like a calf wrap.
What did you do today? Because people don't get to see it. So tell us a little bit of what you did today.
Okay, it's more like a black work and Japanese inspired ornamental.
Yeah?
Yeah. So it requires a lot of freehanding.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to say it. I'm still finding my style in a sense, but of course, it's mainly like Asian geometry. If you look up on Pinterest,
Yeah.
and you can see something similar like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
I feel like, how long have you been tattooing again?
Professionally for 4 years.
So you have 4 years. So I feel like you're doing exactly what you should be doing at 4 years in tattooing. You should be experimenting. You should be trying different things. Because, like what you said, that's what's going to keep helping you find your own distinctive
my own
style.
you know. Yeah.
If you don't experiment, you're not going to learn. I feel like early on in my career, like doing realistic black and gray tattoos taught me how to make smoother transitions in like gray washes, And then I was able to apply that lesson from doing that into other aspects of my tattooing,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you ever pigeonhole yourself, and you're like, oh man, I'm only gonna do this one style of tattooing in the beginning of my career, then you end up being this like lopsided, not well-rounded tattooer that can do all sorts of things, and then you can't adjust with your client. And then you're constantly trying to like, your client comes and they're like, well, I want this to be like this, and then you're like, fuck, I can't do that shit, so I'm gonna fucking try to move you into this area, because you can't give your client a little bit of what they want and a little bit of what you want to give them and should, and then you're kind of just stuck. Yeah. And I think like that leads to today's episode, which is about apprenticeships, and I think there's we talked about with Heather and with Caro, and they told us a little bit about how they started, and we want to hear how you guys started. So let's start off actually with Gabe over here. Where did you start? Who did you start? Who did you learn from?
Right.
And just tell us your story, man.
All right. Well, to sum it up fairly quickly, I grew up most of my life in Miami, and I had the privilege of knowing a really good friend of mine's that I used to go to the beach frequently with, and at that time we were like, just eating, just fucking around and like going to the beach a lot.
Yeah.
Surfing, skimboarding, and just enjoying fun in the sun, And he had this crazy rib tattoo of like a dragon. It was kind of new schooly,
Yeah.
like 90s style dragon.
90s style dragon.
It was rad. So I looked at it and I was like, man, I want a sick rib tat,
Yeah.
But at the time I was also like an artist. I was always into art. I had dropped out of graphic design school because I was still trying to like find myself.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, who did that for you? Where'd you get that done? First question is, where'd you get it done?
Where'd you get that?
Where'd you get that? Who did that? Where'd you get it done? And he said, oh, my aunt did it. And I was like,
My aunt?
And I was like,
What?
I was like, what? I was like, your aunt did that? I was like, I got to meet your aunt. So, it was one of those things where I met her, and she was great. Obviously, I was meeting her through like a mutual somebody that she cared for. So it wasn't like some nobody was like coming to her, some stranger. And I basically said, hey, I'm an artist too. Like, I'm inspired by what I've seen. I want to get a tattoo.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really important with, and not to sidetrack a little bit, since let's say we're going to talk about apprenticeships, is that people want to come into the craft, and especially a lot of people that don't have any tattoos.
Incredible.
And they just want to do tattoos and not wear any tattoos, or not feel what people are going through. And I always feel like if there's like a little bit of advice for people, it's always like, you wanna be a tattoo artist, start getting tattooed.
Absolutely.
But I think it's important what you said too, is that you went to this woman and you didn't start the conversation as, I want to learn how to tattoo.
Correct.
You started the conversation like, I want to get tattooed, not only just to experience getting tattooed yourself, but you're creating a relationship with this woman,
Right.
which I think is important. Like if you want to, which should be a year or two long journey learning how to tattoo.
Yeah.
You shouldn't start off just immediately asking for a tattoo, an apprenticeship or learning how to tattoo. Like you need to be comfortable with this person and they have to be comfortable with you. And you should have a relationship outside of just this, mentor apprentice relationship, right? Like there should be something there to it.
There should
for
be something there.
someone to agree to be like, all right, yeah, like I
Right.
like you.
Right.
I'm willing to spend a shitload of time with you and
Right.
teach you
Absolutely.
everything.
That's why I think like the way that I started, like what I brought up was the fact that like I just went and started getting tattooed by this guy and we formed a friendship just on like we like to spend time together, man. Like I like to hang out here. I like to hang out with you. We like all the same shit. We like
Yeah.
to talk about the same stuff. We like
Yeah.
to drink the same liquor and smoke the same weed, bro.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And after a while, he was like, "Hey, man, you ever thought about tattooing?" And he put that opportunity there. But that's because I presented myself in a way where it's like, that guy saw that he could. I like spending time with this guy. I wouldn't mind passing this on to him, and see what he could do with it, you know? Instead of just like what I feel like a lot of people's approach is, where it's like, he has something I want. How can I come get it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that person has something that
I feel like
that
that's
I wanna
a
take from him.
mentality that sums up nowadays.
A huge
you know,
population
where
of
it's- yeah,
tattooers.
where it's what I can get.
What can I get out of this?
Yeah, what
you
can
know?
I get out
Yeah.
of this?
Absolutely.
And then take those skills wherever. Yeah. So to sum up what I was saying, so I started getting tattooed, and what ended up happening was I was very fortunate as an apprentice because I was actually treated with a lot of respect. And the thing is, I formed a bond with this person that became almost like their family.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was there was a camaraderie, there was a definite like mentorship, and there was a mutual respect. And when it came time for me to like, let's say, do like any duties to help her out in any kind of way, it was something that I was glad to do.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
she
yeah.
was handing down a skill that it was like a gift to
You
me.
already understood the
Because
value of what you were getting.
I was fully invested in how much I saw that this opportunity was like gold for me. Not in a sense of just like learning how to tattoo, but that I formed like
bond, a friendship, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Which I still maintain to this day.
That's amazing, man.
And it's a beautiful thing. And on top of that, I was very fortunate to learn from somebody that was very highly skilled, because on top of that, this person painted with oils, acrylics, sculpting, carving, very hands-on, very multi-skilled, which is where I got like my versatility influence from too.
Yeah.
Where she was just like, always keeping busy with many things, and that's what made her like incredibly talented.
Yeah.
And it was very inspirational. So in essence too, like I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I learned a whole lot. And every apprentice, like, I feel like every apprentice also kind of like strays a bit. They gotta go somewhere, and they gotta find themselves,
Yeah.
whether that means like breaking off and going to like the gutter street shop.
I think you have
to
multiple.
learn the trade, to
in
really get in
tattooing,
the dirt.
you're gonna have multiple mentors in your tattoo career.
Absolutely.
You're not gonna have just one person that's gonna teach you everything.
That's right.
You're gonna have multiple mentors. Sometimes those mentors are your coworkers. They just have a little bit more experience than you.
Correct.
That's all. It's
Correct.
just somebody that you're working with, and you're tattooing for 2 years, and they got 8.
Yeah.
And they just have all this information, and from my experience, I tattooed with people early on that the first day at work, bro, they were like looking at me like, don't look at me or watch me tattoo. And then 2 years later, we're like best friends hanging out all night long, panning them down. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, not even that though, but so you're saying like sometimes the people that you work with are the people that you learn from, whether if they've got, you've got 2 years in, they've got 8 years in. I've been working with you guys for 6 years, right? We've all been tattooing around the same amount of time.
Yeah.
I've learned more from you guys than I have from the guy who actually taught me how to tattoo. And we've been in this the same amount of time. It's just we're gathering experiences from different places. That's super important too.
And we all tattoo differently. We all tattoo differently from each other.
Exactly.
And like most of all, I think it's great. Even just today, I did like one thing that we didn't do, which usually you talk about what have we worked on recently. But I did the tiniest of tattoos today. And even though I've been tattooing forever, I still asked Matt, hey, dude, do you think this shit's straight? Motherfucker, I got eyes. But guess what? 4 eyes, and I know how good his eyes are. If he can tell me that shit's straight, bro, I know that shit's straight. My eyes
trust that word.
Exactly, bro. It's like,
it was not straight.
And it wasn't straight. And it wasn't straight. Yep. And it was because, like, with tattooing or with any art, even if you just hang a picture on the wall, you're just like, this looks good. Hey, dude, does that look straight to you? And it's like,
sometimes you just need that confirmation from somebody else.
Yeah, because it's like you feel it. There's something internal that tells you like, it's not perfect, bro. There's just something there, man.
And you know what it is, too?
Like
sometimes
I gotta ask. I just gotta ask.
My internal voice says something, but I need outside confirmation to tell me that, nah, bro, it ain't right, bro. You need to change that shit.
Sometimes too, and maybe this is just me and I'm lazy, but if I don't ask in a situation like that, I might know that it's a little off center, a little bit like if it's just me looking at it, like, all right, whatever, fuck it. This is good, right? But if I ask somebody and they call me out on it, like, all right, now I should change that shit. Now I gotta move it.
I know it's wrong and I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Sometimes like I've learned to just like, man, if you just have that like, fuck. It's like, man, if I do, there's something that just you don't even know what it is. You're like, damn, it could just be a fucking hair. I need to shave off that thing that's throwing my eyes off or something, I don't know. But like, it does make a difference. Even just re-stenciling something that you're like, I don't know why this doesn't feel right, but I'm just going to just do this all over again, which I actually did today. Where like I put on the stencil, but my first stencil was a little too dark and heavy. So it was like, it smudged just enough that I didn't feel comfortable that I could replicate it perfectly. And it was lettering that was very fine. Yeah. So when you're doing that kind of shit, you want to make sure that like, fuck, man, if I change even just the slightest thickness on this font, gonna throw off the whole fucking tattoo.
That's why I hate lettering, man.
Oh my god, it makes your butthole tight when you're doing that shit, bro. Especially if it's some computer shit.
Pulling a line like a sniper. Just
yeah. And what's crazy is that when I started tattooing, the majority of shit that I did was shit like that.
Yeah.
Super high stress tattooing that you're like, this was made by fucking, Times New Roman, bro. Yeah. Like, yo, there's something so stressful about doing the serifs on Times New Roman, guys. You have no idea.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah, the serifs.
Dude, it's a bitch.
How do you do that? Do you pull out 2 liners or do you sculpt it?
I sculpt it.
Yeah.
Same.
I do sculpt it.
I sculpt it as well.
I stopped sculpting.
You're not a sculptor?
Nah.
You're anti-sculpting?
I'm anti-sculpting.
I don't sculpt with normal tattoos, but with things like lettering, like really fine lettering that has very small subtleties, you got to sculpt them out.
Yeah.
You got to be patient, and you almost have to do it like, I wish I could put on goggles that would make that tiny tattoo look like big. So I could be like, oh yeah, sweet. I see it now.
I mean, I agree 100% that that's what you should do. Mm-hmm. I just don't do it.
I just don't. Like, you should, but fuck that.
So Kian, let's, how did you start?
I started out at home. So how it started out is I actually went to my master shop. So I got my first chest piece when I was 18. So I showed him a couple of my work, and he's like, "Oh yeah, maybe you should try tattooing." So before that, I was working as a waiter. I was working as a dog handler. I was doing all kinds of odd jobs, and yeah. So I asked him for apprenticeship, and he says he don't have time for me. So I started out at home. So I was doing all kinds of stuff. So the first time I ever pick up a machine, I didn't know what voltage to use. So this guy, we're still friends. So
let me ask you a question, and I'm gonna go around the table and ask this. So, because I wish I would have thought about this earlier, and I would have asked Carwin, what were you doing before you started tattooing? What was your life like? What were you doing in your life? What were you doing? Were you working? Were you a student? You were 18.
Yeah.
At that moment, you were 18.
Yeah, 18.
What were you doing in your life? Like, what was happening? And if he would have said no, where do you think you would have pivoted? Like, what would have been the route?
Oh, my route that time was pretty simple. Just want to work at F&B line. Just doing.
What's F&B line?
Like food and beverage industry.
Okay.
Like just working as a waiter. And nothing much. I had never thought much about my life back then.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a life changer when I started at home. So operated on my few friends, and it was bad.
How did you get your first machine?
Actually, my stepbrother bought it for me in Thailand. So I'm half Thai, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I got the machine, I started tattooing on my own toes and stuff. So I was like,
toes.
Your toes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
must have hurt like
brutal,
a
dude.
bitch.
That's insane.
So
That
after
must have hurt so bad, bro.
yeah, it hurts a lot. And then after that, when I went back, I was like, I'm ready. But you're never ready for that because you have no idea how the voltage work. The skin, the trauma and stuff. So the first time I ever went on somebody's skin and the needle was like stuck on the skin, dangling there, and the whole thing tear up.
The
and it was
snag.
Like, I think it's normal, and I just continue on my bed and stuff. Then realized it sucks. Then I went for my national service.
Yeah.
I went out and I asked for my master's, whether if you want to take me up again. And he's like, he's still not free. And then I went to my very first studio and in another place where my friend recommended me. So I started out there part-time, halfway. Then I decided, I don't have any drawing fundamentals. Then I decided to go for graphic design course in school, and then start learning all the fundamentals. After I graduated, and I asked my mentor again, and he's like, all right, you can come in after 6 years. So
After 6 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because at that point, it took a little, it's almost like, you had to bring something to the table for you to sit at the table even. You know what I'm saying?
And you showed that you wanted it.
Yeah.
You kept, you were
Exactly.
persistent.
You
and
were
kept asking.
persistent.
That's right.
One thing that I forgot to mention in
right.
the other episode with the girls was that was something that the guy who taught me how to tattoo, he didn't agree to just take me on as an apprentice right away either. I came to him with my portfolio, these shitty tattoos I was doing on my friends out of my house. And he saw that I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
He saw potential in me though, but he was the first 2 or 3 conversations. It would be like me calling him up, and he would say, "Yeah, all right, cool. We're building out the shop now. Come in on Monday and we'll talk." And then Monday would come. I would show up there, and there would be nobody there. And then I'd call him up. He wouldn't answer the phone.
He wouldn't answer the phone.
And then, but he was keeping track of all this. Like he saw how many times I was calling him. Finally, he would pick up. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, no man, sorry, I had to run to Lowe's and get some sheetrock for the walls. Like, just come in Thursday and I'll be there." I would come in Thursday. He'd be there, but the doors would be locked, and I'd see him walking around in the background. I'd be like knocking on the door, and he just wouldn't open the door.
That's great.
So it was a couple of times that I had to call him, and then finally, when he had me come in, he was like, "Yeah, I was here. I saw all the phone calls. I just wanted to see how bad you wanted this."
Yeah.
And that's what made him really take me on, is because he was like, "This guy, he actually wants this."
Right. Right.
That makes a huge difference. And I think from the people that I've apprenticed, that's the one thing that I didn't actually do. I didn't make them actually work for it like that. Of like, I was too nice about it.
Yeah, because how many other people do you think would be like, "Oh, fuck this guy," and just
fuck off?
Yeah. After the first time that he wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, I've had other friends, see the potential in others, and have people be like, "Hey, man, I want you to teach me how to tattoo," and then they're like, "All right, cool, man, I'll teach you how to tattoo," because either they're friends and they believe in them and stuff like that. But then when it came to the point where it's like, now it's your time to do the work, their work ethic wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know, like they just didn't want it bad enough. You know, it's like the idea of like, man, being a tattooer sounds cool, but like, I don't want to put on all that work, you know, like to get there. And then, you know, that they don't deserve that shit. You know, you don't.
Yeah.
It's harder.
It's not an easy job.
Yeah.
It's not an easy job. I mean, fuck that. It is an easy job, but it's not an easy job to get.
Right. But let me also say this. It's not an easy job for the novice.
Yes, for the
Because
novice,
we've
for
already
sure.
built up the skills to be comfortable in a very uncomfortable setting.
Uncomfortable setting.
But
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
like our like environment. So we thrive here. You know, it took us a long time to get here. But to anybody, like if I were to, you know, I've been tattooing for 15 years. If I were to see how I have to perform for a tattoo to accomplish start to finish a tattoo, drawing the idea to like 1 or 2 year novice me, I take a shit in my pants. I'd
Yeah.
be like, there's no way I can accomplish any of that.
Yeah.
No,
So
one
it's
thing I
kinda tough.
remember.
But to where we're at now, we can take our jobs and our skills to an enjoyment level where yes, it can be tough, but we're like feeling comfortable because we're worked up our skills and abilities
Yeah.
to where it's kind of a bit natural now.
Yeah.
But we still bust our asses.
Absolutely.
But,
So one thing that a lot of people would say when you're first starting to get an apprenticeship, looking for an apprenticeship, is that it's a lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Now, tattooing is a lifestyle. You got to be. And I remember being a young gun, thinking like, "Oh, this fucking like, who does he think he is? It's a lifestyle."
this is gonna be my hobby.
But being into it, being into it now, 16 years later, it really fucking is.
It
like,
is.
And I always hated the people who are like, "Oh, you got to eat, breathe, shit, tattoo," and like, that's a lot of talk, and it's just like, but it really is like,
It really is.
Gabe and I were talking about it earlier. I do more homework now as a
Than in
tattooer
school.
than I did in school.
Yeah. I stopped, but I agree. For a long time, I would finish tattooing to go home and draw for 2-3 hours till like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, this is what I'm gonna do tomorrow. You know?
So that's what I do. I go home, I draw until midnight, I pass out drawing, and then I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and I finish the drawing, and then I come here and do that tattoo all day long. It's like it never ends.
Yeah, fuck that shit. I used to do that, and then I realized, man, you gotta have a life. You know, like I did that for a long time, and then the pressure of it all just made me start not really enjoying my job. And then I realized that you have to balance it out, and that after you're done tattooing, you have to put everything about tattooing in a little box. Just put it away, man. You go enjoy your day, enjoy your night, enjoy your life, etc. So tomorrow you can take those batteries out again and put them back in, and they're recharged. Yeah. And then I learned this from a tattooer, Randy Engelhard. I don't know if you guys know who he is.
I'm familiar with his work.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, German tattooer, does amazing realistic work. And when I met him, he was the first person that kind of explained to me that a consultation is a consultation. It's just a talk, you know? And I don't draw or do anything until the day of the appointment of that person, because that's when my time was bought for, you know? You know, just like, you know, if you talk to a lawyer, they charge you for a consultation, you know? They charge you for a phone call. They charge you for every little bit of interaction that you have with them. And so does your doctor, you know? Any skilled professional, even like a plumber, will charge, like, yo, they have this problem. Like, all right, it'll be this much for me to come to your house and check out what's happening.
You always got to pay for the visit.
You got to pay for it, man. You got to pay for it. But for whatever reason, you know, people think like, you know, everything in our industry should be, you know, kind of like funneled into that one price. You know what I'm saying?
I think that for as mainstream as tattooing has become, people still don't take it as a serious job.
A lot of them don't, but I feel like now that
I'm not saying tattooers. I'm saying like
outsiders. Yeah. But I feel like even in the outsider world, it's starting to be because they get to see more of the back things of tattooing. You know, like that's slowly changing. I feel like, you know, because now that they see that there's more going into it and things like that, or maybe it's just my perspective because I'm further ahead in my career than a younger tattooer.
Absolutely.
So that could just change my perception, you know. But like, I don't know. I guess we'd have to talk to, you know, which
Well, there you go. We got a 4-year
a 4-year tattooer in here, you know.
So what do you think? Do you think that like your clients see you as a professional, or do they just see you as like just some guy doing some artwork?
Some of them, yeah, like do artwork. Some of them, they are seeing me as like a professional artist. Yeah, it's a mix of both in Singapore, you know, for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that we didn't talk about last time you were on is what tattooing is like in Singapore. Like, what's the clientele like? What kind of tattoos are they looking to get? Are they?
Now I would say it's more like a hippie kinds of tattoo.
Hippie?
Yeah.
In what way?
Define hippie.
Like
Because as soon as you hear hippie, I think of freaking like, you know,
Janis Joplin.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking.
big glasses,
Yeah.
peace signs.
Yeah,
you know.
like, you know, something
Maybe stick and poke.
stick and poke. Yeah, you know, stick and poke is getting very popular now in Singapore. You know, everybody's getting it after the whole COVID situation. They start popping up everywhere, man.
Crazy.
Yeah, they start. You know, but I would think that some of them, they wouldn't want to take apprenticeship because I think they think that it's hard, because I heard some of them complaining. You know, it's like, oh, apprenticeship is so hard. You have to do this and that, which is like.
Yeah, they're like, I don't want to call anybody my master.
Mhm. And whatever you teach them, they refuse to accept that you taught them. They're like, oh, this is my style. I came up with this. You
I'm
know,
self-made.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm self-made. I
I'm
made myself
self-made.
where I
Me, I
am.
did
You
it.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of here. This is insane.
I feel like stick and poke is like one of those things that it's like, and by no means am I shutting down stick and poke, because there are some great stick
Yeah.
and poke
Some
artists,
people do
there
dope
is.
shit, yeah.
like incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm more like talking about like the people that, which is funny because I don't think stick and poke is anything that looks easy to me. I'm just like, my nature is like machines, coil machines, like, you know, anything that's motorized that drives that needle into the skin. And I feel like a lot of those like apprentice or the people that were complaining about like, oh, apprenticeship is so hard, and they're just like, they took the lazy route out,
Yeah.
and they're just like, well, I don't need to
Absolutely.
learn machine basics. I don't
Yes.
need to learn anything. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
start stick and poking.
Nobody's gonna scold me. I'm just gonna
Exactly.
poke whatever I have. You know, just
Absolutely.
just carefully poke one
And
lines at a time.
I'm going to tell you guys how I feel about stick and poke right now, right? The stick and poke artist needs to tell you that it was done by stick and poke. Like, that's part of the allure.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Took forever, and you're gonna pay for
yeah,
it.
it's like, and I don't want to say like it's mediocre, but like it's mediocre, right? But then they tell you like, oh, but I did that through stick and poke, and that should elevate it from mediocre to wow, you did that through stick and poke. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
And-
it's part of what makes it cool.
Yeah, they made it like, you know, some of them I saw is like on the bio they're saying like machine free.
Machine free.
Right, right. Because you
know
look
that.
at it first, and you're like, well, that's a mediocre tattoo, and then all of a sudden you found out full stick and poke, and you're like, okay, I guess that makes it better.
I mean,
but-
that almost reminds me of like, I mean, if you've seen old tattoo advertising from like the 40s and 50s, and it was like electric tattooing.
Oh yeah. We're using electricity.
Yeah, look, we use electricity. It's the new wonder. It's like,
I love that shit.
I know, it's like electric tattooing. Now it's like the opposite. It's like, we use no electricity.
We're green.
We're so green, bro. It's kind of wild.
This is a full Numa shop.
Oh my God.
Just
And speaking of which-
just air compressors randomly going
Yes,
off
yeah.
in the background. Like,
So a couple of days ago, I put up on Instagram asking people what machines they're using to line with, and a lot of people said that they're lining with the new Numas, and they're not actually air powered
Pneumatic,
anymore.
yeah, they're just called that.
They're
yeah.
just but a lot of people are using them. Like it's
So, Numas are made by Carson Hill.
okay.
Good tattooer. And he's studied tattoo machines and how they work for a really long time. And apparently he made up this new cam system, and that's what's in those Numas. And that's supposed to make it feel very close to what coil machines feel like.
Get out.
That's the trick behind the whole
Cool.
Numas things. And they're super customizable. Like, You can change all these cams and just to get it to feel how you want it to feel for like your style of tattooing, which I think that was the beauty of a coil machine, you know?
Right.
You could tune a coil machine so it feels right on your hand, the speed of that you like to move your hand, you know, and all that stuff. And I feel like that was one of the most wonderful things about being able to tune and work with a coil machine. And it really explains to you how tattooing actually does work, you know, like,
Right.
Now I feel like I don't use any coil machines anymore. I just use, you know, a rotary. And over time, I had to switch from what I do to how the machine works. You know, like, oh, this machine works like this.
Yeah,
that's right.
So I'm going to change what I do to work with this machine because this machine is very effective, you know? And I think, like, in the past, it was like, I want to find the tattoo machine that works how I work, you know, to make it be very effective in
Right.
that sense, you know?
Right.
Don't you think that takes a little bit of the artist out of it, though? Like, if you have to adjust the way that you work so that you could use this machine, as opposed to let me make this machine work for me.
Yeah.
Don't you think that if you have to change your hand speed or, you know, the
To
angle,
cater to the
yeah,
machine.
I say no because at the end of the day, the equipment doesn't make the art. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, like, you know, if I can do the same job with a stick and poke or with a coil machine or with, you know, a rotary, I make the art, you know?
yeah.
It doesn't really matter how I did it. I can still do it, you know?
I mean, you know just as well as anybody else here that I went through a ton of machines trying to figure out what would be the best to work with in the coil.
Oh, yeah.
And in the rotary.
The rotary world, yeah.
Because I could not find one that worked well for my hand speed and the way that I wanted to, you know, whip out, you know, my shading and everything. And it kind of put a damper on the whole experience for me until I finally found one that actually worked. But like, it was a shit ton of time and money trying to go through these machines to finally figure out one that works. Whereas like, you pick up a coil machine and like, all right, this doesn't work. Let me just tweak it a little.
Tweak it a little bit.
Yeah,
Boom,
no,
done.
it's fine.
You know, but at the same time, like, you know how many people that I've met in my tattoo career that have like 50 tattoo machines because they're like,
Yeah, this guy right here.
yeah, this guy right here. They're still trying to find.
I've downsized.
It's like guys that are still trying to find that like holy grail of tattoo machines that just feels. It's almost like a drug. Like you just keep wanting to find a newer one that's gonna give you that like.
And they might just sit in the drawer.
Yeah,
You know, but they're just so
I'll
pretty.
tell you a little secret too. You might find that machine for maybe a year, maybe two, but it's
that
not.
shit ain't gonna maintain the same. That's the
Nah.
problem with coil machines. They don't stay the same, you know?
Right, right.
Even
Springs get softer, screws get blunter, and you have to turn them. And as soon as you turned it, you're like, oh, it ain't
fuck
the same
everything
now.
up.
It's
Yeah.
the movie
But
parts.
even with
It's-
the
it's moving
rotaries,
parts.
like I've gone through a couple of rotaries that I've had for a while. But if I don't know, there's something about it. Like maybe you just
Motors burn out.
well, not
Yeah.
even that. Just like you
Nothing's
develop a new skill or you develop a new technique. Like
Yeah.
now that your technique is evolved, that machine doesn't work the same for you anymore. Now you got to keep going on to something new. Like it's a fucking pain in the ass. That light just went out.
Let's take a little short break. Hold on. Pause that. Pause. As we get settled back in, I'm gonna just letting you guys know. I'm gonna just light this up real quick so we can kind of get going.
Tattooers smoke weed.
What I had a question, especially for Kian, because earlier when we were talking to Caro, she also addressed her mentor as her master, and you address your mentor as your master, which I think it's super respectful. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like a level of respect that lacks in America overall. Like,
I still do as well.
like you still,
Yeah, sometimes
you
I'll
still
be like
refer.
my master.
Yeah, you know, like, and I think like, you know, I was saying like, you know, if we got an email from somebody saying that they were being mistreated in their apprenticeship and they were looking for a new shop. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? What kind of treatment are you expecting? You know, like you're
Like a god, like worship you, welcome in, apprentice. You know, like,
We're gonna show you everything.
We're gonna show you everything because you deserve it.
You'll pay
Yeah.
0 dues.
Due to your past life, you know, your karma is good. We are gonna give it for free.
Like you just deserve all of the knowledge. So I don't.
Your social credit score looks pretty good.
So, Gabe, you got your apprenticeship because of a buddy of yours. So I'm assuming that you did not have to pay for your apprenticeship, right?
I did not.
Did you pay for your apprenticeship?
No, I did not.
Wow, I'm the only one that.
You're the only one who had to pay for an apprenticeship. I didn't have to pay for an apprenticeship. I just had to put in the time.
Yeah.
A lot more time. And I'm honestly, I wish I could have paid for it. So
I mean,
the
we
truth,
pay-
because like there were a lot of stuff that I had to do that you didn't have to do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
like I had to get laundry, coffees. I had to fucking do all that extra shit that
Yep.
I didn't
Yeah.
like it. And I felt like, why am I doing this? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this because I want to. There's something from this person that I want.
Right. Yeah. So I get it.
Plain and simple.
It balances out in the sense that like this person is teaching you their skill, their craft. They're passing something along. They're not going to do it for nothing,
They're not going to do
right?
it for nothing.
So in my sense, I had to pay for that information. In your guys' sense, you had to give something
Yeah,
back,
it's just
whether
a-
it be chores or just
It's a
duty.
different form of payment, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That's right.
pay by hard labor, you know.
Loyalty,
Yeah.
duties, friendship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Loyalty, man. That fucking word.
Loyalty. A lot of people forget about that word.
Yeah.
Very
That's out the
important.
door.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So,
been
John,
out
you
there for
mentioned
a while.
before how you don't want to teach anybody anymore because of the loyalty thing.
Yeah.
But you didn't really expand on that. You want to?
Yeah, so I mean, I've taught a few people how to tattoo, and I gotta say, every person that I've taught, I expected loyalty but didn't demand it. That's on me. I will never put that on them.
Loyalty in what sense?
For example, to me, if I were to teach someone how to tattoo for nothing, you know what I'm saying? I would expect that you're going to work with me or we're going to work together till you get out of being a green tattooer. If that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely makes sense.
So to me, what gets you out of being a green tattooer, at least 5 years, at least 5 years of tattooing gets you out of the green tattooing. It doesn't matter if you've been tattooing for 2 years and doing like good work, you're still green. Because at the end of the day,
What do you mean by green?
green means like you still are at a point in your tattoo journey.
You're still fresh.
You're still
Still
fresh.
fresh.
You
Yeah,
know what
you're
I'm
still
saying?
fresh.
Like you still need guidance. You still need shit like
Direction or
that,
whatsoever.
a lot heavy direction. You should still be consulting with your mentor or your master. Or like, hey man, like I'm thinking about going with this for this. What do you think about these color choices? What do you think about all these things? And most of all, I think at that point in your career, you should still be experimenting. In your first 5 years of tattooing, I think that you need to be experimenting with different styles of tattooing. You shouldn't just be like, I'm just going to do this one thing. You need to experiment. You need to try different things. And the best thing that you can do is work with people that have been tattooing for 2 to 3 times as long as you have.
Yeah.
So I actually thought you were going to go in a very different direction with that.
Yeah.
And I was expecting you to say that you wanted the loyalty in the sense that you were teaching these people for free. And in return, the loyalty that you expected was for them to work side by side with you in your shop to make you the money that you did not charge them.
Yeah, and it's not so much. It's not even so much about like a monetary, give me the money back, because I can't put a price on the education that I'm giving you. You know what I'm saying?
But don't leave in a year or like less than a year. Like,
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, basically don't dine and dash.
exactly. Exactly.
Don't dine and dash.
Don't dine and dash.
Don't dine and dash. Like, look, at the end of the day, like, tattooing is a business, so we're not gonna necessarily like flat out say it's just like, oh, you got to put in your time and put in the money in here.
Exactly.
But being a part of the team,
Yeah.
being a part of the team in the beginning, like what John said about the 5 years, that sounds fair, because it's like, you will be making money and providing the house with your cut.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it shows right back to the loyalty, and it also emphasizes what's most important, and that is gratitude.
Yeah.
Gratitude.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Gratitude for the gift that, because honestly, I like tattooing as a skill. I mean, sure, there's tattoo schools popping up now, and but you know, when it was an apprenticeship thing, like people held that information because it was that valuable.
It was
and
valuable.
not everybody deserved it. I'm sorry to say, not everybody deserved the information.
You
to
fucking
learn.
gatekeeper.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a gatekeeper. Yeah, and it's like, man,
the gatekeepers.
yeah, and it's like, I think something that's been heavy in this current situation of just tattooers and people and Instagram, people get salute. People get such heavy validation from the internet, you know, or just social media. They're getting so much validation from social media.
likes and
like,
everything.
exactly. Like, let's say, you know, you're apprenticed by a tattooer. They've been tattooing for 15 years. And then 3 years of you tattooing, you're getting just your fucking dick sucked hard as fuck by the internet. You know what I'm saying? You're feeling like the fucking big fucking king in town. You're feeling good. You know what I'm saying? And you're just like, oh man, like, I'm fucking good as fuck, bro. I should, you know, I don't need this. I don't need to be the bottom person in this fucking totem pole right here. I could just go somewhere else, start my own kingdom.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
I'm gonna start my scratch kingdom.
Yeah, I'm gonna start my shit somewhere. And I'm not even saying that they're scratchers. I'm saying they're good. You know, they're good. They're good tattooers. You know, but there's like inherently like a certain level of like, oh man, like all these guys still think that they're better than me because they've been doing it longer. And guess what? They are.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? They are, in a sense. They have something that you don't have, and that's wisdom. You know? And wisdom is priceless. And you can only get from people, like, you know, just like how you respect your elders, not based on what they've done in their life, but because, dude, they just lived longer than you, and they're still alive, bro.
It's already there, and you know what? It's requested of you, and more times than not, they deserve it.
Yes, absolutely. Like, you give your elders respect without questioning them, you know, just because they're your elders, you know, and they have knowledge that they can share with you as long as you're humble and you come from a good place. And I feel like a lot of times, you know, we start there, and especially young tattooers start there where they're like humble, come from a good place, but over time that starts shifting. You know, it could be like in the beginning of their apprenticeship, or when they start working with you, they do treat you like that. And then a little bit over time, they start thinking like you're equals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, but it's like, bro, remember this, bro. Like, no matter what, you never will talk to your parents like they're your equals. They're going to be your fucking parents. Even if you lived 30 years, 40 years, it don't matter, bro. Even if you have your own kids, you know, you're not going to talk to your parents like they're not. Like they're below you or you're same. You know,
Right.
like, we're not the same, bro. You know?
Tron, are you gonna address your dad by his first name? Oh, hey,
No, but you know what the sad thing is that people do.
Like a cigarette?
Cigarettes in
No.
here? No.
No, all right.
And I think that that's kind of the thing, you know, that I feel like after a while, like, it's like, nah, man, like, no, you still have respect for the people that have done it before you, man, who gave you the opportunity, who gave you things, you know, and stuff like that. But once you say that to the younger tattooer nowadays, they're like, I don't want to hear this shit. I'm out. And I'm going to surround myself with people that tell me, yes, girl. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
I'm awesome.
I'm awesome.
Yeah,
You know what
they'll
I'm
say shit
saying?
to justify their action. You know,
Exactly.
like maybe because of one work they did great. They think they're like, oh yeah, I'm good already. I don't need your opinion anymore.
I don't need your opinion anymore. You know what I'm saying? When it's like, oh man, like my opinion got you to where you're at. You know what I'm saying? Like I pushed you to be here. I helped you get here. But then after you feel like, well, I don't need your shit anymore. I'm gonna fucking go be over there.
You don't know how I work.
And that's fine. Everybody's gonna have their own, you know, journey in tattoo life. But I think that we've lost a lot of like of just like the core goodness of tattooing and the respect and like the I don't know how to put it, man. I just feel like a lot of the magic and the respect and like the idea of like, oh man, like people that still wanted to get tattooed by like old timers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like we got the tail end of it.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
got
definitely
the
did.
very
We got the tail end of the
last bit of it,
the
man.
last little bit of wizard dust.
You
That
know
just,
why?
like,
Yeah.
you know,
Because
that's
we got the tail end of that because right after us is when you could learn how to tattoo on YouTube. You can do these
Right.
online schools. Like that's
Crazy.
where the respect got lost. Like the people don't get me wrong too. There's still plenty of people out there who are doing formal apprenticeships and they're going to be great tattooers and
Yeah.
they've got that respect for the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for every tattooer who's learning the right way, there's 20 of them.
20
At
of them.
least
There's 20
20.
of them that are
20.
like, fuck that. I'm going to learn my way. I don't care what these guys, have to say. I don't care about the history. I don't care about this. Like they got no respect for it at all.
no.
whatsoever. And that's kind of sad. That's kind of like the sad part of like the state of our industry and where it's gotten and all that stuff. And like,
I don't think it's just our industry though. I think that's just the way the world is right now. I think,
It's
Yeah,
just the generations,
Yeah.
like they get to learn everything online. They get the exposure online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and everything is like just freely copying and reproducing everything.
and I think that's what has led to good artists with terrible interpersonal skills. I feel like it's insane nowadays because like the more that you learn from just like I learned from YouTube, no person interaction was there.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah.
I learned on this like 15 video tattoo course. And when I met with my mentor like once a month for like an hour. We talked. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck is that going to teach you, dude? If we have a 1 month call, like once a month, you'll have one call with me, for like, what the fuck is that going to do, man?
We'll go over your online course.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking about? So we were talking about the DVDs that we used to watch back in the day, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the Russ Abbott one, the Nico Hurtado one, the Joshua Carlton DVD, right? There had to have been people trying to like pushing back on that idea when those started coming out because it was geared towards
Right.
these are not apprentice tools. These are for the already tattooer looking for some new techniques.
Yeah.
But I guarantee that there were people in the industry that like you should not be putting this information out there because the wrong people are going to get their hands on it.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
kind of think that was like the turning point where like, well, if these guys are making DVDs on how to tattoo and anybody can just watch these and learn how to tattoo, then that kind of opened up the doors for all the other online content and YouTube videos and learning how to tattoo without an actual apprenticeship.
It was like slow little stepping stones, like, because before it was like, you don't share any information.
Right.
And then it became like, well, let's write a little booklet, like fucking,
The machine guns.
I was going to talk like Huck Spalding's, tattooing A through Z.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Which terrible.
it was terrible. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it was like a little tiny book,
Shitty book.
like a shitty book. You know what I'm saying? But that's like a little like, let's write it down. Let's write it down. And then after that, it's like, all right, let's make a little video, guys. Why don't we just make a video about this stuff? And then the internet came and revolution and all this shit. And I was like, dude, let's make this video online, available for everyone. We're like, should we vet the people that get this? No, bro. We're trying to make money here.
Yeah. Did you ever read the machine gun magazines from Icon?
No, I didn't read the machine.
Did you
Gun
get them?
magazine.
I had most of them.
Do you still have them? I saw some guy
I don't know.
selling them on like eBay or something. The whole series, I think there's like 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah.
He wanted so much money for those.
Oh, I
things.
bet because
What?
they're fucking hard as fuck
Yeah.
to get. I
1K?
mean,
$1,000 for. the
I
whole
think
set?
more.
Yeah, they're hard. They're hard to find now.
Yeah.
My favorite was Tattoo Artist magazine.
Oh, that was a good
Tam.
magazine.
Tam was a great magazine, man.
They have the
So-
CDs in the CD in
now
it?
they have books. Now they have books that are collections of the whole
Nice.
things. So you can have like there's different volumes that have like a whole bunch of them, and
It was
it's
always
just
a well done magazine.
well done magazine, done with the utmost respect and appreciation of the craft. You know what I'm saying? It was like
always incredible artists inside.
incredible artists telling their stories, and it was great.
One of my tattoos is in one of those issues.
That's awesome.
Not one that I did, like a tattoo on
Oh,
me.
a tattoo on you.
Joe Capabianco did a piece on me.
Oh,
That got
sick.
into that.
Sick. On Tam. That's great. That was like great magazine. It's sad that like, you know, all those publications were very small publications. They weren't like huge, you know? So like it didn't take long for like the magazine industry to start like going down for all of those little things to collapse, because they probably didn't make that much money. They had small like budgets and stuff like that. It wasn't nothing crazy, you know? Like I'm surprised Ink magazine still gets made. Surprising.
Is there still hard copies of that?
Yeah.
Really?
Airports.
Airports.
Yeah, dude. There's business dudes with weird kinks about tattooed girls, bro. Of course they're going to sell on airports, bro. Forever, bro.
Yeah.
But you can find them in airports, and I think they make them now like maybe 4 times a year, I think.
This may not apply to you, but maybe it has. I want to go around. What was the first publication that you were ever, one of your tattoos were in? Do you remember?
I don't.
No?
No.
I could think of 2 of mine, and one of them I don't really count.
Yeah.
One of them was in Taboo magazine.
Taboo.
Taboo magazine.
Oh,
yeah.
shit. I remember that.
Yeah, I did a tattoo of a microphone, and that got in.
Oh, cool.
And I count that one because I submit. Oh, I don't even think I submitted to that one. I don't think I did. I think someone. I don't know. But
Or the client, they got it.
yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that one I count. The other one, I was in the Alliance of Professional Tattooers newsletter.
What?
In like 2007 or 2008. Yeah, they had like a whole write-up about me on that.
Cool.
Yeah, which I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
Neither do I. I mean, like, I remember at the second shop I worked at, he had something on the wall about like tattooers guild or tattoo, like, you know, something of that sort, you know, but
That's
like,
what it was, the APT.
yeah, but shit, who was running that?
Some old time.
Oh man, you know what? Yo, straight up, my goal is to get Adam Kaplan on the show. I work with Adam, and he has so much amazing tattoo history and knowledge. He's somebody that's been tattooing over 40 years, bro. Probably over 50 at this point, you know? He's been tattooing for so long, and it's crazy to hear stories about tattooing from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s.
Right.
Like, when you hear those tattoo stories, bro, they just tickle differently, bro.
Yeah.
It just tickles differently, man. It's like the shit that tattooers were seeing at that time, you know? Like, the people that were going to tattoo shops, there were no fucking pussies going to tattoo shops at that time.
No, yeah, of course.
It was like real motherfuckers, bro. Like, during those years in New York City where tattooing was completely illegal, but nobody stopped tattooing, they were just doing it differently, bro. It took a different kind of cloth to fucking do that shit.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, man.
Certain clientele.
Yeah, you're going to go to this phone booth, bro, and you're going to call, and then I'm going to go meet you at that phone booth, and then I'm going to take you to the place where you're going to get tattooed. Like, that's how they used to vet motherfuckers back in those days here in New York City.
A lot of people don't realize that it's only recent that tattooing has been legal.
Fully legalized. Yeah. It was like 1997, bro.
Oh, I thought it was even later than that. I thought it was like 2000, 2001.
No, it was like 97.
97?
I think. Yeah, it was like 97. Which is still a long time ago because some of you guys weren't even born until 1997. But all of us were.
In
I
the
think,
grand
on this
scheme of
table.
things, though.
Hold on, when were you born?
Sorry, 1995.
95.
Right.
Look at that.
You got it.
He just cut.
Just made it.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, though, that's pretty recent as far as like tattoo history.
Yeah.
That's pretty recent.
That's very recent, you know. And yeah, man, and that's. I would love to talk to, you know, we got to talk one day to like OGs.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
You didn't say, do you remember your first publication?
Skin art.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
My first one was Skin Art. Then Tattoo Magazine. Then, fuck, what was the name of it? Urban Ink.
Urban Ink.
Urban
Oh, I
Ink.
think-
I never made it in that one.
I made it into
I had a feature. I
didn't
had
remember it. I was like, oh, I made
a.
it.
Yo, guess what? One of my favorite things about my thing on Urban Ink, guess who was on the cover, bro?
Oh, I
Guess
know.
who was on the cover?
Who?
Affliction.
2 Chainz,
Come
bro.
on,
really?
Yo, 2 Chainz was on my cover of Urban Ink that I was in there and I had an article. I was like, I bet you 2 Chainz saw my tats because he was probably looking at himself on that cover and he flipped through it and was like, look at this shit right here. I was like, oh shit, this is sick. So I fuck with 2 Chainz. So I was pumped about that. And then, of course, I was super stoked
That's cool.
when I got a tattoo in, and I'm blanking out, Tattoo Society.
Yeah, it's a good one too.
Yeah, that one I was stoked on, you know,
Yeah.
because like Tattoo Society was one of those magazines that I picked up when I was an apprentice, and I saw tattoos by like, you know, Carlos Torres and by like
That was an
Robert-
international publication, right?
yeah,
Yep.
Robert Hernandez,
Higher tier magazine right there.
Bob
It's
Tyrell. It was
like
like the creme de la creme, bro.
Yeah.
There was no bullshit there.
Yeah.
Just heat, yo.
Yeah.
You know? Shout out to my man Tony, bro. I hear you, bro. Haven't seen it in a long time. But, you know, he ran that magazine and I met him, you know. It's cool to know that one day I picked up a magazine and then 10 years later I got drunk with the guy that made the magazine.
Do you still have them?
No, I got rid of all those things.
Really?
Yeah.
I kept mine.
That's nice. I got rid of most of them. You know, it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I care, but I don't care that much. And if I don't care that much, ain't nobody else gonna fucking care.
You know what's funny is I kept all the magazines I've been in. I kept all the books. I did a lot of I have a lot of pieces in like the Out of Step books series that they would do.
Yeah,
I have a lot of those, and those are like fucking
that's cool.
textbooks,
Yeah, they're
right?
textbooks. They're big.
There were the tattoo coloring books. I have a couple of pieces of them. I kept all those things. But you know what I threw out? I threw out all the trophies that I won from like, you know, conventions, winning contests and all that.
Yes.
Those I threw out.
Those, yeah,
Yeah.
those are just stupid.
I kept the ones that were like first place or like tattoo of the day. I kept a few of those, but all like anything like second place or like the fifth place ones that I wanted, like
Get the
Philadelphia.
fuck
Yeah,
outta here.
Yeah,
toss those
like-
right out.
Get the fuck out of here.
And then too, because
participation prizes.
yeah, exactly. So especially now that I got a kid, what happened there?
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, I can't show him like, oh yeah, you'll get a trophy for just about anything, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck that. You ain't first, you're last.
And then especially with
Not first, you're last.
with Troy's conventions, the tattooer gets a trophy and the client gets a trophy. And 9 times out of 10, the client will give the tattooer the trophy. So you wind up with both of them. Like, you don't need all that. That's just nonsense.
I think I've won like 3 trophies. One of them was a plaque, and then one was a trophy, and one was another trophy. And one year that I got like a first place trophy. This one was in Australia, actually. The guy went, got the trophy. He fucking left with the trophy.
I've had that happen to me too.
I was like, you motherfucker, bro. I don't know if I'm going to be back in Australia. And yeah, dude, he took that first place trophy. He was like, thanks, mate. He just fucking skedaddled, bro. He fucking loved it, dude. He was stoked. I mean, I was stoked, but I wish I could have took that with me. But like, yeah, I mean, he fucking took that trophy with him, man.
Yeah, that happened to me once also.
I won a competition in Australia tattoo. Where's the proof? Well,
Yeah, right.
Kind of took the trophy, you know,
Bro,
the
and it
client.
was like, you know what I was so pumped on? That I got best neo-traditional.
oh,
In Australia,
yeah.
bro.
Dude.
And it was like a bunch of fucking heavy hitters at that convention
Yeah.
in Australia with a bunch of badass neo-trad guys there. And I was stoked with a lady head.
Nice.
I was like, that's nice.
There was a time, and I think this is a lot of the reason why I threw out all those trophies. There was a time that I would just be like contest driven, and I would go to these shows and like bring clients with me, like, all right, let's enter in this competition.
For
Let's
that point,
yeah. And it got to the point where like I got a bunch of awards, and like I thought it was doing something for my ego, like, oh man, look at all these awards, like I'm a great tattooer. Like it doesn't do
Doesn't
shit,
do
man. Like,
anything.
yeah, not at all.
Um,
It was actually like I looked back on it after a while, and I felt sad for myself. Like it was not a good feeling after like seeing to somebody else. It might be like, oh man, look at, you know, you achieved so much. Like you should be proud of yourself. But for me, I looked at him. I was like, man, like it was almost like I was trying to prove something to myself.
To yourself. Yeah.
And it didn't do it. It did not do it.
It's something that like I feel like a lot I suffer from this heavily, you know? It's just imposter syndrome, you know?
Yeah, dude.
When you're like, you know, it's like when you're invited to a prestigious convention with all of the best tattooers in the world and you don't think you're one of them.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't belong here.
like, yeah, straight up.
I don't belong here.
You're like, oh shit, dude, what the fuck am I doing? I'm not even this good, bro.
do they know I'm faking it?
And then you don't realize, and then when you become friends with some of these guys, that they're there thinking the same fucking thing.
Exactly.
We're all in there looking at each other like, fuck, I fucking suck, bro. That shit is sick, dude. How did you pull those fucking lines, you know? And then we look at our own work and we're like, I fucking suck. And then it's like you are all looking at each other the same way.
Right.
For
That's
sure,
how I
bro.
felt for like the first year that I worked here. With you guys.
You're like, what the fuck am I doing here, dude? Bro, but I think that's why everybody that's there is there. Because you're always looking at your shit critically and at other people's shit objectively. You're like, fuck, I need to nail it like that. How can I kill it like that? And then you're like, how can my shit make me feel how I look at that? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that's the biggest difference. It's like the feeling you get, you know, just like we were talking about earlier when you just put a stencil wrong and it just doesn't feel right, you know? It's the same thing when you finish the tattoo and you're like, I feel disgusted. Like,
I could have
like
done 10 times.
yeah, like, damn it. Like, that's good. But it ain't like I busted a good nut good, you know? Like, it's just like, it's almost there. And then you're like, I think we're going to need another session, bro.
I need to add some clouds,
Yeah,
some rays.
I didn't think we needed a background, but it needs a
It
background.
needs a background now.
Yeah. It's
Should've
like
never
little
thrown the
times
leaf
like
there.
that. For sure.
So we're about an hour in. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
If you could pick like a route for tattooing as far as like, you know, you can't stop where it's going. As far as like how, the way that people are learning or getting apprenticeships, you know, what would you feel better about? Do you think that the best way should still be the OG way, or is there somewhere in the middle where there's like a bit of new age knowledge? And I'm gonna at the end of this, I'm gonna tell you guys what I think would be good, you know, or a combination of just like the new ways of information, how you can get information across, and the old ways of how interpersonal skills were developed, and the building the environment around the shop, and getting the experience of starting at the low end in a shop and earning your way into being a respected member of the crew.
So I think there could be an in between, and I'm gonna go back to Nicole's schooling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So within nursing school, you have classes. They're called clinicals that you're actually on site practicing whatever you got to do on real people.
Yeah.
And you instead of going to class and learning something, you're going to, you know, the hospital, or you're going to, you know, the doctor's office, or wherever you got to go, wherever your clinicals are. You're going on site and you're actually performing whatever you got to perform. So I think that if you take that into this tattoo school realm, and you do, you know, 1 week you'll do in class learning fundamentals, learning technique, but then do 1 week where you might be in a studio, where you're doing your apprentice duties, like you might be cleaning tubes, or you might be actually tattooing a client that day, or, you know, talking to the people up front, or making an appointment. Like, I think if you do a balance between two, I think that could work. That could be like the future of these online schooling kind of things.
I think that's true. What do you think, G?
I don't know. It depends on the circumstance of the individual, like their skill level, how much respect that they have for the craft. Like, at the end of the day, sometimes, you know, some people may not start off in a traditional apprenticeship, but yet they go out of their way to form bonds within what I like to call like the network of tattooing.
They yearn for it.
Yeah. They yearn for being part of the community.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of like a funny word because nowadays they're like, the people sneer at the word community.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, you know, community, a clique. You know, there's always been a separation of like groups of interests, you know, and that's what made like these little cliques like special. And, you know, and tattooing is a niche. And so when like people that are from the outside want to come in, but they want to go in further by making friendships and bonds and networking with what I consider, you know, like let's just say like important people of tattooing, either tattoo owners that have like history or they're just well connected to what I like to say, like just a network of tattooers, what I would like to say like official tattooers, you know. I don't know how to define that, but that's when I am like, oh, well, you know, you didn't have a traditional apprenticeship, but you're highly skilled, ambitious, a great person. And like, you know, we're automatically, you know, you start off by knowing somebody, you know, they say, go visit my friend over in some state, you know, or like come visit us in a country. You start doing guest spots. Your name goes around. You gain this respect from other people.
You're part of a network.
You're part of a network.
You're part of a network.
And then people start speaking highly of you, or they'll be like, hey, I want to go guest spot. And then you start saying things like, I want to go guest spot somewhere, and they're like, oh, we're actually, oh, you're friends with such and such. Yeah, you're more than welcome at my, come on in. By. You know, you're welcome anytime. And I feel like that's kind of like really important as far as like even with the new tattooers. I feel like a lot of them, they'll just come in and they're just like, you know, fuck the traditional way, which, you know, it's.
I mean, you know what, that everything that you described right now just reminded me of like college. And you can go to college and just be like whatever and do whatever and be like, I'm going to be independent. Or you can go to college and then become part of like a really solid like fraternity. You know what I'm saying? And when you become part of like a fraternity, you're going to go through some hard things. You might have to go through some like, you know, initiation thing. But everybody that goes through that fraternity knows why they did it. They know that it could mean a lot one day when you're out in the field trying to get that job. And all it took was like, oh, you're a Sigma Kappa, blah, blah, blah. I don't know any of that shit. You know what I'm saying? To with the guy that's interviewing, they're like, yeah, man, fucking class of blah, blah, blah. Class of this year. And you're like, oh, shit, dude. Yeah.
Chest bump, bro.
Do they still have that shit on the fucking wall? Yeah, they do. All of a sudden, it's like, boom, you just develop that thing. And then there's a level of respect because we know, you know, just as much as like the army people of like have that respect of like, oh, you went through that shit? I went through that shit, you know? And there's an immediate level of respect and understanding without knowing each other, you know what I'm saying? Right. And I feel like, I don't think that shit's existing anymore in like tattooing where people know that like we went through these hardships in tattooing. I feel like it's lost, you know?
Right. Yeah.
I wonder, because you were talking about cliques before, and I remember early on going to conventions and seeing like what I considered these heavy hitter tattooers. They were all friends with each other. I mean, you were a part of this group.
Yeah.
You, Dave, Jonathan, who are some of the names that I would always see? Whatever. But like I would like every convention I would go to, these cliques of people would be together, and I was like, man, how do I be a part? Like, I wanted to be a part of that clique.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think that people want that anymore. They don't. I don't think they really care about like that camaraderie. That sense of like, we're up top and like.
I mean, I gotta say, dude,
because we yearn for that physical element of being included in
connection.
Now, it's all social media.
It's all social media. Yeah. It's all internet.
So
internet vibe.
The way they feel accepted now is through the audience. Yeah. The way we felt let's say the satisfaction of like, oh, we made it somewhere was, you know, who we were surrounded by.
Yeah.
In that point in time of our artistic careers.
Yeah.
And to now, they don't care about that. They just care about
validation.
The people love me on the internet.
Look at my shit.
Yeah, my shit has, you know.
Bro, I got like 5,000 likes on this.
However many likes.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
my shit rules according to them.
According to them, bro, my
So-
shit's clearly crushing the algorithm.
Yeah.
Your shit is whack. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So I don't care who Randy Engelhard is. Or
No, I don't care
or-
who any of those other
no,
people are.
or-
It's true, man. It's
Victor
kinda wild.
Portugal.
I was thinking of like maybe there could be a way where like, you know, just how if you did do like an online tattoo course and then later if you did your course and then you applied for an apprenticeship from the course. You know what I'm saying?
Like that's your prerequisite.
Yeah, like that is your prerequisite to get the apprenticeship. You have to go through this course. You have to complete it. Then you have some testing to see that you assimilated and learned the information. And then, just like in like art school, you have to present your thesis. And your thesis needs to be, show me that you've like, you know, learned to draw these things and that you know this amount of like, you know, tattoo history, tattoo like fucking like just technical things, your art, like multiple facets, bro. Just like careers that are you know?
Right.
So do you think
Like, and then you get the apprenticeship and then you can start just like a doctor starting at the very bottom. You know what I'm saying? Or you know, not that we're anything like doctors, but I'm just saying like of a very specialized career where you
Right.
need to be really, really good, you know? Because if we're not going to do the traditional apprenticeships, which is crazy because tons of other industries still work with that, you know?
Right.
But for us, because it's gone online, it's like, you know?
so? In my mind, I'm thinking about like traditional apprenticeships in other industries, like an electrician's apprenticeship, where there might be a union involved, or there might be any other kind of like official testing that is universal for like if you want to pass the test in New York, it's the same test as somebody is
Yeah.
doing
Yeah,
in
yeah,
California.
yeah.
Like, do you think that should be anything in the tattoo world? Like it should be more of a universal thing than just a shot by shot thing?
You know what's wild, man? Like, if you asked me that question 8 to 10 years ago, I'd say, no, that sounds terrible. That's like the worst thing ever, you know? And now I say I think differently, you know? It's a matter of like, before I wanted tattooing to be free and open and just blah, blah, blah. And now it's like, it's gone too open. Like, there's too much freedom. There's too much bullshit going on.
This is Elon's Twitter of the tattoo world.
Yeah, exactly, dude. It was like, at first, it was like, yeah, it was the idea of like, if you start regulating it, it's gonna get to the government and they're gonna fucking regulate the fuck out of it and they're gonna ruin it.
Yeah.
But now it's like, fuck, somebody's got to do something, bro. like somebody has to intervene because this shit is getting crazy, bro. Like there's like all these new tattoo courses, schools, whatever, and they're like, dude, we're gonna send you your diploma in the mail that you completed this course.
Along with the I'm a tattooer t-shirt too.
Bro, you're certified, bro.
No, which reminds me, like in Singapore now, there's not only tattoo schools. There's like a place where you can like just use a machine and tattoo on practice skin, which is like fucking crazy, man.
Well, I feel like people are doing this right now.
Yeah.
There's probably right now some kid at home listening to us and his freaking thing, and as he's practicing on his fucking practice skin right now.
But you're talking about like a maker space,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like just you have this ability just to go to this
And
place.
of
And,
course,
That'd be kind of
this-
cool
and
if somebody was saying
Yeah,
that.
and people
Well,
are gonna
it's
be
hap-
like,
it's gonna
yeah, I
happen,
put
bro.
this line on the practice skin. Maybe I can become a tattoo artist. You know? Yeah.
is there anybody there overseeing it, or is just you just go there and you do your own thing?
Yeah, you just go there. You can choose whatever stencil you want. They're gonna get it from Pinterest, and you just paste and you start.
Slap it and
Yeah.
And who's supplying all of like the fake skin, the machines,
Random
and
strangers
needles?
that are not involved in tattooing.
go. But like I remember, like back when I worked, it was like maybe 2011, 2010, and Adam Kaplan, he calls me Fuego. That's a whole nother story. But he called me Fuego and be like, Fuego, let's just fucking open a tattoo school. We'll be fucking millionaires. And I'm like, no, bro. And I had the mentality of like, I want to be part of this clique. If I fucking if I do this, bro, I'm gonna be shunned for
Be a traitor.
life, bro.
Be a traitor.
They're gonna look at me like I'm a fucking traitor, and I'll never be accepted into this community. Exactly the same thing you were talking about. Like, I'm not gonna be accepted into this community of peers. They're not gonna look at me like, oh, this person did something good for the group, for tattooing. And I think that's the difference, right? Like, I think that older tattooers still have that little bit of like, is this what I'm doing today? Is this good for tattooing as a whole?
Right.
You know, am I bringing something that's going to make tattooing better or shittier? You know? And I feel like that's no longer even remote thought. Tattooing is thought more of as like a whatever. I don't know. Like, I don't want to say like it's no longer like thought of as a craft. It's just thought of like, oh yeah, dude, I just pick up a tap machine from eBay. I just fucking rocked, bro.
Just gonna be an artist.
Yeah, bro.
And get paid.
An
artist.
Like, bro, why aren't those lines solid? Ah, bro, that's just my style, man.
Yeah.
that's
how I do it.
That's how I do it, man. It's sick. It's like fucking gel tat. Sick.
Super sick.
Yeah, man. It's fucking sad. But I mean, whatever.
It's textured lines.
Some of those kids are crushing it, bro. Like, money wise, are crushing it. Like,
Yeah.
that's the craziest part.
The craziest part.
So, yo, like, Matt showed me some shit completely different, not some like ignorant tat type shit, but he showed me the tat today that I was like I wouldn't pay $300 for this tat at the most. You know what I'm saying? Like, that should be like,
Was it a big tat?
it was like, you know, like a palm size.
Yeah, it was about palm size.
Palm
Okay.
size tat. You know, like that should
$300
be,
for a palm-sized tat is cheap
You know?
nowadays.
because it should be a cheap, that tattoo should be a cheap tattoo, you know, based on what it looked like.
It was like a, I wouldn't say watercolor, but it was a very like soft pastel-y kind of realistic flower.
Sure.
Like
No outlines.
no outlines. Like when the tattooers like whip shading with like color and water.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna take this ink and I'm gonna just dilute it.
I'm going to take this pink, this light pink, and this.
I'm gonna dilute it with water and whip it out, bro. It's gonna look sick. It's gonna heal so good.
But so here's where he's going with this. So the tattoo that I showed him was of this artist that Nicole's friend is going to get her second tattoo from.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And I didn't tell you this part because I didn't know. I found this out afterwards. The first tattoo that she got was a couple of flowers on her forearm 2 years ago.
Bro, this big.
She paid $1,000 for this tattoo. And I showed John the heel, what it looks like now, and it's really faded. It does not look good at all.
That's a shame.
So this girl's going back to get another tattoo on the other forearm to match. In 2 years' time, the same size tattoo jumped from $1,000 to $2,500.
And she's still going.
She's still going. Yeah.
That's out of control, bro.
I just gotta have it. I gotta have it.
Yo, I need that Gucci bag.
I gotta have it.
It was $2,500. I need it.
It's not the tat. It's her.
Yeah.
And it's not a good looking tattoo, man.
Doesn't matter.
Not a good looking tattoo.
Well, on the good side, it set a certain standard for
Overall,
these people.
everybody.
Overall, yeah, you know,
Yeah,
like
that's
those
true.
that are
Like,
doing
oh,
good
tattoos are really
they're
expensive.
It's going to be a normal price.
Yeah, if a
for
shitty
them,
one is
yeah.
$2,500, bro, my price is going up
Yeah.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
guys.
That's
Yeah.
the good part, you know,
Like-
about that.
It's gonna be 5Gs.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
you're
bro.
right.
Like, yeah, this will be 5Gs, guys.
Like if that motherfucker is somebody's paying $2,500 for that garbage,
Yes,
I'm most definitely setting the bar up.
absolutely.
Yeah, and cover artists
Yeah.
is gonna benefit from that because
You're
they're
gonna throw your
cover
money
up.
away on this.
So,
No.
like, you know, I went out with this girl and she had a tattoo, and it was done with like it looked like it was like super fine line, like, you know, like just the lines were so fine, just like a fine, just super fine line. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's gonna fucking turn to nothing, dude. Like that's too fine. Like, you know, like there's a limit.
Way too fine.
like I understand that like you want the finest of like lines and or like the thinnest that you have, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you should do, you know? So she gets the tattoo. As soon as I see it, I'm like, oh, it's going to turn to shit, you know? Whatever. Time passes. That thing heals. Of course, that thing fades. It's barely even you could barely see it now. I'm like, hey, what are you going to do about that tattoo? Oh, she told me that I had to come get it touched up.
For how much?
You know, free.
Oh, okay.
It gets touched up. It's 2 sessions to complete this, right? I'm like, all right, maybe this girl's onto something. So she goes back for the second time. It looks exactly the same as the first time. Like, you know, like nothing differently was done at all. And she just redid the same thing all over again. Guess what? Time passes. Same fucking thing happens, you know? Now, in real life, this would happen. I thought that it looked like fucking crap. I hated it. It was something that I mocked and fucked with her all the time, you know, and she hated it that I made fun of it. She knew I hated it, but all the time we'd be somewhere and they'd be something like, oh my God, I love that tattoo. I love it. And the validation that she would get out of it. And then she would just turn to me like, yes. You hear that? They love my tattoo. What do you know?
Right.
Everyone else is right. This person that knows nothing about tattoos loves it. I don't give a shit about your fucking righteous opinion, even though you've been tattooing for fucking 18 years. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, that's kind of where we're at. You know what I'm saying? Like, they rather have 5,000 people that know nothing about tattooing give them validation than have 15 experts at tattooing that know a lot say, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'd rather have 5,000. Like, that makes me feel so good. But 20 people that are actually know what they're talking about and their opinions is not as relevant to my life.
Right.
Which is fucking stupid, you know?
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid. And guess what? Stupid, that fucking tattoo. And it still looks stupid and it's probably fucking fading out
Correct.
all over again, you know? And whatever. They can live in the delusional reality of like, this is sick. I'm like, no, it's not. Get out of here.
Yeah. Only you think it's sick.
Yeah. I'll stay righteous.
Your peeps. Exactly. Stay the course.
And with that, I feel like we should wrap up this episode. Any final words, closeout comments? Anything you guys want to drop before we cut this off?
Just want to do a quick shout out to my mentor and master, Ruby Navarrete, who showed me the craft, and I'm extremely grateful.
Does she still tattoo?
She still tattoos, but she does a lot of like crafts. She sells like carved gemstones. She lives in Arizona, and she goes like gem hunting and like engrave like amazing artwork.
Yeah.
Incredible inside crystals, still tattoos. She does private appointments only. Like, she put in her time, so now she's doing a lot of like other things and taking it like way easier in Arizona, enjoying her life.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
no, it's super rad. Anyway, yeah.
I want to add something that I always forget this part of my life because it was so short-lived. Before I got the apprenticeship at the shop that I finally got my apprenticeship at, I was doing, you can't even call this an apprenticeship, but it was like my pre-apprenticeship at another shop, right?
Mhm.
And actually, I shared this apprenticeship with Max Schoberg.
Oh shit, cool.
Yeah, the two of us were at the shop together. This guy was called, his name is Guido, right? And Guido, he was
Sick name, by the way.
Yeah, he was again a very terrible tattooer. Like Heather was saying before, I was doing the stuff where I was drawing his designs, I was putting on his stencils, I was doing everything for him, and all he would do was just sit down, tattoo, and just walk away. Yeah. And there were a couple of nights where he'd be tattooing until like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And this guy was a junkie, and he would just use used needles or he would like have some dirty tubes in his drawer, not sealed or anything.
Scrap those.
Yeah, these are good. Let me just throw these on. Like, yeah.
Fuck.
Or he'll just like, he'll throw them like not scrubbed, throw them in the autoclave unbagged for like 5 minutes and then just take them out.
Good enough,
yeah,
bro.
good enough.
They're clean.
Right. So, yeah. And Max, if it weren't for him, man, I'd probably be in a very different situation right now. But he saw the light first. He was like, yeah, I got to get out of this place. This is terrible.
Yeah.
So he left. He was like, this is just not the right place for us to be learning how to tattoo. So he split. I stuck around for like another couple of weeks and I was like, yeah, I should go also.
Yeah, I should get the fuck out of
but,
here.
one of the things that made me leave that shop was, Guido was tattooing a buddy of mine, Mike, and mid tattoo, Guido goes, all right, I just got to take a piss real quick. I'll come, let's take a 5-minute break. So he goes in the back. And by the way, he lived in this shop. He had a shower. He had a bedroom in the back. So he went in the back, shot up, comes back to tattoo, blood dripping down his arm. And he's like ready to tattoo high as fuck. Yeah.
Whoa.
And I was like, all right.
Wild,
like Max saw this before I did. I'm out. That's it.
Yeah, we're out of here. All
Yeah,
right.
so thank you, Max.
All right,
Yeah.
Max.
Shit. I guess the only thing I'll add is what you were talking about earlier about that era of tattooing where there were these cliques, especially the convention clique, which I'm happy that I got to live through. I mean, it was like a matter of like, of a lot of things being combined, I was in like that first generation or first season of like tattoo reality competition shows, and all those first group of like, tattoo competition people, and then the next season of that, and then the next season of that had that little bit of like what we were talking about earlier. You understand how difficult that was, so you could share those like, oh man, how difficult it was to tattoo on TV with cameras, with tons of pressure, so there was like a lot of like camaraderie in that. And then at the same time, being in the convention circuit, and being constantly on the road. And like during those years, I would do 22 conventions a year.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Every other week.
I'd be gone every other week to a different part of the country, different part of the world.
Yeah.
And there were plenty of people and we would see each other every weekend. So that's why you started having these cliques, because I'm literally spending time not at home with the same people, having all these experiences in different parts of the country, different parts of the world, So it's like, even though I could be in Chicago this weekend, and then by the end of the year, we're going to hang out in France or we're going to hang out in Italy, and you're from like Colorado and I live in New York.
Right.
But we've traveled the world together. We've seen so many things and we've shared so many like incredible experiences of like travel, food, women, all of these crazy things, like in all parts of the world. And that's why those bonds were created. And to be able to create those bonds, you had to take those trips.
Yeah, that's one thing that I didn't do. I did maybe half the amount of conventions that you did.
Yeah.
And they were all within driving distance.
Within driving distance. Yeah.
I think the farthest. So
that's how I started.
That Miami one was the farthest one that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since then, I think DC was the farthest I've gone.
Yeah.
We did Atlantis together too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, when you start getting on planes and you're like, shit, it's going to be a 12-hour plane ride.
Yeah. It just like, I think that it's great. You definitely made a very good name for yourself. And I think that traveling had a lot to do with that.
Absolutely. Agreed.
And that was an investment that you saw the risk and reward for that. I think it would be too risky for me.
Start making it up by going to Singapore and visit.
Yeah,
18 hours flight, man, direct.
I mean, to me, traveling was one of the reasons why I started, why I even considered tattooing. To tell you the truth, I was like, man, I would love to see the world, and I can do this anywhere.
Yeah.
So like from the rip, like that was goal. It's different because like I also had friends that their goal was completely different. Like their goal was I want to open up a business, start a family, and they did those things and killed it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But my goal was like, I want to fuck mad bitches and travel the world, bro, and not settle down.
Yeah.
And I did. And I did. And it was just a different thing. I mean, now I'm at a completely different point in my life, but like, yeah, like that was kind of where my mind was at. I wanted to, you know, for a long time, I didn't even know if I would ever really stop that. Because once you start that kind of mode and you stay on that mode, the idea of being somewhere longer than a month feels crazy. You're like, what the fuck, bro? Getting like antsy just being here for so long. I need to go to a new hotel, new Airbnb, go be in a different language, eating different food, different people. I think that's where he's at right now.
Yeah. Getting more exposure, you know, seeing all the good artists doing their work and stuff. You know, it's
traveling.
traveling.
That's the best part of being a tattoo artist. You get to travel, you get to meet different kinds of people, you get to see the world, you know, and it makes you wiser.
It does.
Yeah. And you find out more about yourself too. Mm-hmm. You know, being alone where you have nobody else except for yourself to do things, you know.
Correct.
Yeah.
Being away, I feel like you definitely find yourself. And I think, like, for example, like you coming here shows a lot of your bravery to get out of your comfort zone, you know, like, and go find something. Because when you come here, you don't know what you're going to find, but you're going to find something.
Yeah. You're just going to do something. All right. I'm not too sure what's going to happen, but we'll find out, you know. Yeah. And things work out very well, you know. It's nice here, you know, you get to see great people out there here in New York.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, man, we love having you into the shop.
Thank you.
You came the first time. We were always like, man, that guy was awesome.
Yeah,
it says a lot.
He's got to come back again.
Yeah.
For sure.
We've had different experiences. We've had people who were like, we can't fucking wait for this person to get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Because they just didn't have that. So just so you know, man, you're doing good. And
thank you.
We hope that you keep traveling and keep, you know,
progressing.
Come by more often, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Make it absolutely, brother.
A constant thing.
Make my work. Try my best to come back every year, you know, twice.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, thank you guys so much. Right. Thank you, G Money.
Thanks
thank
for
you,
having
Kian.
us.
And always,
Thanks
Matt.
for having me.
Good job.
Keep it honest, guys. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
All right. Peace.
Wait. Don't forget about the...
oh, yeah. Before we go, make sure that you guys take it off.
So we have a Patreon page. You can help support us and support the show. It's patreon.com/honest-tattooer. We have it set up with tiers that you could do $1 a month, and that'll just help support us. Or you can add a couple more dollars on there, and then you can get some questions answered on the show.
Absolutely. You'll be able to find all of our information, all the tattooers on the bio below, and make sure that you subscribe to our channel and keep up with our content. So we love you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Peace.